Welcome to Caseback Watches, my name is Tim, and in this episode I want to explain why Swiss made is not longer so important for me. Not longer so important. Before I do this, let me show you a very interesting study I found online, link in the description. There people measured the reputation of different made-in labels. So what reputation has made in UK, what reputation has the made in Iran, and so on and so on. And on number 1 of this list is Germany, number 2 is Switzerland, number 3 is the EU, number 4 is the United Kingdom, number 5 is Sweden, and so on and so on. Number 10 is the United States. At the end, 51 is China, and then 52, the lowest end, is Iran. And so this list shows that I'm completely wrong. I'm completely alone with my verdict that Swiss made or made in such countries is not longer important. The people want those products. Number 1, Germany. Number 2, Switzerland. The people want products from those countries. Those ranks here are some sort of trademarks for those countries. An interesting fact, by the way, made in Germany was invented in the UK at the end of the 19th century. As a warning, don't buy German goods, it's junk. Warning for inferior quality. And then German manufacturers realized we have to do something. We have to improve our quality to turn it around, and they've managed to do this, and then made in Germany was some sort of a trademark. Yes, and this is a good example how free trade can improve quality of products here. But now let's go to Swiss made. I think we all have heard that Swiss made means that at least 60% of the cost of the production costs are spent in Switzerland, are accounted in Switzerland. And I've read the law, and it's very long. It's page after page after page and after page, and you can find many exceptions and many constellations, and it's very interesting to read. And I found that they can include the cost for research and development. And this leads to a very interesting calculation. Okay, and our calculation begins with a smart bookie, and he tells us we put 100,000 Swiss francs in research and development. And we put another 200,000 in the actual production, okay? This is important. The actual production, the physical production of the watch is 200,000 francs. But in total, research and production costs, we have total production cost of 300,000 Swiss francs, okay? In Switzerland here. And now our smart bookie tells us the law allows us to spend 40% of this total amount in another country, for example in China. And when we see here our 300,000 total production cost, 40% of this is 120,000 Swiss francs, and we can put this to China, we can spend it in China. And the situation now is our actual production costs are distributed between China and Switzerland. We have spent 120,000 in China, and so we have to spend the rest, 80,000, in Switzerland. And this leads to the situation you see here. The actual production costs are distributed between China and Switzerland, 66% in China and only 34% in Switzerland. And this is your Swiss-made watch then. Okay, is this a drama? Is this a crime? I don't think so, because you can measure quality. If you are in doubt, then you can send from Switzerland your inspector to the factory in China, and then he can measure everything. He can measure tolerances, he can make sure if the parts are really made under the specifications of the motherland, Switzerland. He can check if the qualities are equal. If you cannot see any difference, and then of course you have not a problem. And you can illustrate this as well, by the way, with the famous Rolex steel. I'm wearing a Datejust, rather a dress watch, original Jubilee, but it's really, really solid, Rolex steel. But is the Rolex steel really connected to Swiss made? I doubt it, because you can buy it on the world market. It's just another steel, it's just a high quality steel. And if you are a manufacturer of watches and you are absolutely sure that your customers can spend an extra for better steel, then you can buy that kind of steel on the world market. If you're located in Ireland or Switzerland or Germany or the States, it makes no difference. And interesting to know is as well that the Swiss manufacturers are pretty much divided over this question. They're not really united, they're not really in one position, because this rule, the 60% for the manufacturers at the lower end, low tier manufacturers with retail prices under 1,000 francs, for instance, for those manufacturers it's a huge difference if they pay the polisher 10 in China or 100 in Switzerland. It will affect their calculation badly. But if you have a high-tier manufacturer, like let's say Jaeger-LeCoultre, with cost per unit, let's say several thousand francs, excuse me, then it makes no difference. If the polisher earns 10 or 100, makes no difference. It will not affect the calculation so bad. And so manufacturers like Jaeger-LeCoultre are willing to accept higher percentages, even higher percentages than 70%. And at the end, it's politics. They are in negotiation around this law, and they constantly try to change that law in favor of that party or that party. So a very, very complicated topic. And another reason why I find Swiss made not longer so important is that it's sort of a relic from another time back then, where knowledge was limited, where the access to machinery and to factories were limited, and only Swiss manufacturers really were physically capable to do it, to build those watches, to manufacture those watches. But now, I mean, who produces now Landeron and Venus movements? Russians, Russian company. Or take China, they built this Venus movement nowadays, and without quality issues. I mean, here and there you have a problem, of course, but this was the case with the Swiss movements too. And so I can assume that the access to knowledge, machinery, technology is not longer limited. If you want to build a quality watch, then you can do it. You can download the fact sheet of your ETA movement from their homepage with all specifications. It's not longer limited. And so Swiss made it more a trademark. It's not longer a sign for, exclusive knowledge, exclusive technology. And another reason why I find Swiss made not longer so important is that my impression is that mostly Swiss manufacturers are members of the service mafia. Service mafia, oh, they will hate me for this, I think. But I mean, when my dad was a young man, he told me servicing your watch for several thousand euros or several hundreds, let's say, every couple of years in Switzerland was a complete unknown idea. He brought his watches, let's say, every 10 or 20 years to the watchmaker, to the local watchmaker, and the guy cleaned the movement and the watch was good to go again. And nowadays, the manufacturer from Switzerland tell you that they improved qualities over the decades, but at the same time, the thing needs more maintenance. And maybe I'm simple-minded, but I don't buy that. I simply don't buy that. My personal horror story, service horror story, is around Jaeger-LeCoultre. I had a Memovox, 1960s, and went for a service to Switzerland, and the bill was 1,500 euros, substantial bill, 1,500 euros. What's this? Sorry. It came back after 4 months, and then I checked the watch and it lost 4 minutes a day between 4 and 5 o'clock. So they hadn't the time to check the entire 12-hour circle to make sure that everything was okay. The watch was returned then, back to Switzerland, back to Jaeger-LeCoultre, and it took them another 4 months to fix that error. A skilled watchmaker can service a watch in 1 day. And so basically the watch was in a drawer, 4 months minus 1 day. And this kind of service is, I think it's ridiculous. And another reason why Swiss made is not longer so important for me is there are so many interesting watches. Here on the table I had in the last month especially, so many interesting watches from other countries. Baltic, made in France. I mean, there's a Miyota in it, so made in Japan by Citizen, but assembled and everything in France. Then we had here this Vostok, in-house movement entirely made in Russia. And those were fun watches. And so I think this is a good last sentence for this video. If you have a watch you like and it's fun and you like the quality, you see the quality, it works fine, then good. And when they're made in Timbuktu, then yeah, fine. If Timbuktu can deliver the quality, if the manufacturer there can deliver the quality, because that's the important fact, right? You have to stick to manufacturers who deliver quality, not to labels, not to made-in labels. And this was more than one sentence, very sorry for that. But now I'm a bit curious because this can be a controversial topic, and if you have a different view, then please don't hesitate, share it with us in the comments. Okay, but that's it. If you want to see more interesting watches and other things I find interesting, then please join me on Instagram, it's Caseback_Tim. And now let me thank you very much for your attention and maybe until next time.